Same dialogue. A past not yet come to pass. Thank you again for your timely help. Now then, this time I returned this stolen property. If you would go on ahead to my accommodation, I will join you as soon as I have attended to that task. Oh, Koji knows exactly what he's doing. Yes. And I love it. It is amazing. Follow the path straight ahead to the building at the top of the slope. I have an entire place to myself, so we can speak without fear of being disturbed or overheard. This is... I have no words whatsoever. You needn't be nervous around Vana. Those white robes mark her as one of fair and impartial reasoning. Aside from the emissary Elidibus, such garb is worn only by those who have stepped down from public office to serve as advisors. Whatever you have to say, she will listen without judgment. Aside from the emissary Elidibus, such garb is worn only by those who have stepped down from public office to serve as advisors. So my theory was apparently correct. Yes, this will be far more comfortable than interrogating you on the side of the road. Welcome to my temporary abode. Please, make yourself at home while I put on some tea.
A wonderful aroma. I feel more relaxed already.
Would that I had sweetmeats to offer, but I travel light out of habit.
Haha.
There's plenty of hot water though, so please have as much tea as you like.
She travels light.
Now then, will you tell us your tale?
I see what she did there. I also hear the music in the background. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the first one because that is actually like the problem we're trying to figure out here. The sundering is something else. And like this and this are both like neither of these would have happened without this first. So a calamity called the final days has befallen the world.
Why don't you start from the beginning?
Because we don't quite know everything. That's a lot to talk about, by the way.
Preposterous. Absolutely preposterous.
Nope.
While not the words I would have chosen, I too have my doubts. Much of it borders on the incredulous. What of you, Vanar?
Not knowing the precise details of the first final days, it is difficult to determine the veracity of the tale. Supposing it is all true, I must ask myself why I would do what I did.
That's a good question.
Why would I feel I had no recourse but to oppose the 14 and create this Hydaelyn? Circumstances change, of course, but it would not have been an easy decision regardless. No, there must have been a reason. One compelling enough to force me to take such drastic measures.
I mean, didn't we not tell that they...
Then there is the Elpis flower, which I said would serve as a guide.
Yeah.
That it's of import to your mission is plain. But your presence here leads me to believe that this place also holds significance.
Right, let me pause here for a second. What I'm wondering here is... Did our characters say that the Amortines basically sacrificed 75% of their population to create Zodiac and then breathe life back into the world? And also, did we not explain the idea and concept of tempering? Or the entire idea of the balance between stagnation and chaos? Like, because depending on how much we actually say here, I would think that this Vanar would have reason to understand why she did what she did. I would hope so, at least. We'll see. We'll see where we're going from here.
What are we meant to accomplish?
Might it not be simply thus? In the future whence he came, the final days could not be averted. Mankind has no choice but to flee the star. By alerting us to that eventuality, perhaps you wish to pave the way for other futures.
Theoretically speaking, it is a possibility.
So, are we splitting the timeline?
Yet if that were my primary objective, I see no reason to guide our friend to Elpis specifically. The capital on Amarot, or even my own home would be more logical destinations.
Excuse me, are you telling me you're neither from the capital nor from... Oh, not here, obviously. What do you mean with no? The thing is, all this takes place before... I mean, yes, it does take place before the final days, but like... Did we not tell her that they sacrificed 75% of their people? And then... that the entire convocation is no longer impartial and all they're doing is serving Zodiac? I don't know. I'm just a little bit confused here. I wonder where she's from. I have an idea. I don't want an answer, so I'm not saying what I think it is.
True, true. I note also that Hydaelyn did not specify a point in time to which he must return. By this, it may be inferred that it was not critical that we should meet.
Alternately, she had reason to believe that our paths would converge, coincidental though it may seem.
This is quite a puzzle, and we do not have all the pieces.
The Emmett Silk.
Hardly any. But we do have one immutable fact.
It's very quiet.
If the final days are indeed as described, they will bring death to all that I hold dear. Yet despite being afforded long years of preparation, the only provisions I could make were for flight. Nay, my first and foremost endeavor would be to find a way to forestall the coming doom.
Given that even the 14 failed, mayhap you deemed it impossible.
That's the thing, though. I'm pretty sure, or my theory still holds, that Azim was looking. Not her, the current Azim, because 13 of those 14 deemed it impossible. Azim himself, or themselves, went their own path, and also did not follow Vina. So, there's some leeway here.
Nothing is impossible. This I have always believed. And if Hydaelyn is indeed me, she would believe the same.
Listen to yourself. Are you seriously entertaining the notion that you are a messianic figure in some far-fetched tale? Well, I will not. I refuse to accept that our world could be undone by some unforeseen calamity. I also take offense to my portrayal as a megalomaniacal madman.
Sorry.
To sacrifice oneself for the star is a noble act, and I would hold those who gave themselves to this zodiac in the highest esteem. Yet, you claim I recreated Amarot and populated it with phantoms of our people? A bizarre indulgence that would be insulting to their memory. Worse still, I even invited you there. Literally invited my own downfall. Why would I do something so idiotic and inexplicable? Now, I will allow that the hypothetical task of restoring our world would be daunting in the extreme. The thought of having to bear such a burden for 1,000 lives horrifies me.
I like the fact that he basically quotes himself. I lived 1,000 lives. Even though we know that's only like 12,000 years, which wouldn't be 1,000. And yes, even Emmett Silk bullies himself.
Never forsake my duty. I would never forsake my brethren.
You didn't.
You do not know me.
That is true.
I've had my fill of your fiction. I will return to my duty, and you will not bother me again.
Emmett Selk, wait!
You've seen much of Elpis already. If you have any observations to share, I should like to hear them.
Well, yeah, Dynamis is the key to all of this. I do believe that. Like, I mean, Hermes and Metaion are somewhat involved, yes. But I think the key to all of this is Dynamis.
Ah, yes. The energy distinct from ether. Though not my field, I have a basic understanding of Dynamis. And you say Hermes researched the phenomenon in the course of creating Meteon? Yes. I believe this warrants further investigation.
Mm-hmm.
With that settled, it is time for action.
It is indeed.
The missing pieces of the puzzle are here, I'm certain of it. And when you find them, the picture my future self has painted will be complete, and you will have your answer. Now suffice it to say, I will aid you in your quest.
So, just to summarize,
Have faith. If Emmet Selk is the man Azam described to me, we've not seen the last of him.
let me get this straight, just humoring myself here. We, the Warrior of Light, blessed by Heidelin herself, are having tea. No, we, the Warrior of Light, and the reborn soul of Azim are having tea with Vana, who's the heart of Heidelin and the prior Azim. What the fuck? This is so ridiculous. And it also seems that Vana doesn't know Emmet Selk as much, but seems to know Azim quite well. Oh, God. Ah, my brain. Shall we begin our investigations then? I'm acquainted with Hermes, of course, but only as a visitor received by the chief overseer of Elpis. Of the man himself, I know only that which is common knowledge. Thus I suggest we fall back on the tried and true method of conversing with the locals. The observers who live here can surely tell us more of Hermes and Meteon, and I have a good idea of where we might begin. Oh my God. See the woman standing in front of yonder building. Her name is Ismeni. She is the one who made arrangements for my stay in Elpis, and from what I recall, she has held her position here for quite some time. Chances are... Nice! She can provide us with some insights. Go and ask for a question. Go and ask your questions. I will help with drawing out answers if need be, but I'll leave the choice of topic up to you. Let us speak with as many. You know more of this coming calamity, so I think it best that you lead the conversation. Okay. Questions? For me? Well, I suppose I have no other pressing duties at the moment. The following event cannot be skipped. You may wish to cancel only pending blah 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 blah. Yes. Begin asking questions. Let's go. Greetings, Ismeni. My friend here is desperately curious about Chief Hermes. I was wondering if you might indulge him. Certainly, Mistress Vana. Anything to be of service. What do you wish to know? Let's start with his interests. His interests. Well, he's an authority on flying life forms and has expansive knowledge of living creatures in general. Is that what you wished to know? How would you describe him as a person, as a colleague? He's a quiet man, reserved, you might say, and occasionally somewhat poor with his choice of words. His reticent nature, however, does not prevent him from carrying out his duties as Chief Overseer. I hope that answers your question. Was there anything else? Do you know of Mateon's abilities? No. Let's start with this one, because I assume that Vena is going to ask the other question. So let's lead with this, and then ask about her abilities. I cannot rightly say. As a chief's personal creation, Mateon has not been subjected to the observation and study like other concepts. So one day she was simply there, and what do you make of her abilities? I understand that she's highly unusual familiar, able to read emotions and communicate directly with one's mind. Exactly how she was created with that talent, however, is a mystery to me. My apologies, I wish I could explain her nature in more depth, but I've not had occasion to discuss it with Chief Hermes. Do you wish you knew him better? Asking someone if they trust them sounds weird. The Chief may not be the most gregarious individual, but he engages with us as is necessary for everyone to perform their duties. I wouldn't want to intrude upon his privacy for the sake of curiosity. So if you wish to learn more about Mateon, you could try speaking with Timaeus, another expert in the creation of flying concepts. He should be conducting his observations in the banks of the stream, somewhere to the east. Oh, and unless you take a particular joy in rambling discourse, I suggest you keep your questions concise. We shall keep that in mind. Thank you for your patience and your insight. Think nothing of it. If there is aught else you need during your stay, please do not hesitate to ask. Come, Laverne. I think we've taken enough of his many's time. You are familiar, yes, belonging to Mistress Vena? You couldn't have been blessed with a finer master. Guess so. Our investigation is off to a fine start, wouldn't you agree? From here, I propose that we split up. I shall continue making inquiries with the resident observers, if you could track down the colleague as many mentioned. While I did feel compelled to interject once or twice during the previous conversation, you seem more than capable of drawing forth the answers you seek. All I ask is that you watch your footing around the stream. We can meet back here once you've finished speaking with this Timaeus. Sure. I will start from one side of the compound and make my way through, speaking to as many people as I can. We should have plenty to discuss upon your return. Okay. Made it. Yes, yes, I am Timaeus, but please keep your voice down. You'll startle the birds. Yeah, same thing again, I guess. Makes sense. So, what is it you wished to speak about? Let's go for the direct question, like, go more concise. What do you think of Chief Hermes' flying creations? Chief Hermes' work, a worthy subject indeed. Those beings which soar through the clouds, majestic and graceful, are ever a favorite of creators. Even now, with so many varieties in existence, the flood of newly imagined concepts continues unabated. What sets the Chief's creation apart, however, is how they benefit from his boundless knowledge of the celestial realm. Birds that climb so high that they disappear from view, others which traverse the boundless sky in moments, and all without riding the currents. I know of none save he who can conceive of such marvels. Even we, who prize elegance of form above all else, are dumbfounded by his genius. Meteion too is a marvel, then? My opinion on that matter would be superficial at the best. Despite my admiration for Meteion as a concept, I've never delved too deeply into the inner workings of her nature. I know that she has a gift for communicating via emotions, but otherwise, her abilities are a mystery to me. If Chief Hermes should choose to submit Meteion's concept to the Bureau of the Architect, then will the design be registered for public scrutiny. Analyzing a colleague's creation before that step is frowned upon, to say the least. Of course, if he came to me, a fellow artisan, looking for advice, that would be an entirely different story. Do you know of Dynamis and Entelechis? Dynamis and Entelechis? Those terms do sound vaguely familiar. Was there not a flower made here in Alpes which exhibited properties of one or the other? It must have been centuries since I last heard anyone speak of such things. Has there been a resurgence in interest? Then why bring up the subject? I'm flattered that you sought my insight, but I cannot afford to neglect my duties for the sake of idle chatter. Now, I really must return to my observations. Surely you have your own tasks to attend to? As I said, I have work to be getting on with. If you wish to speak more, you'll have to wait until I've finished for the day. Okay. Interesting insights we got there. Very interesting indeed. Back already. That was quick work. You were obviously clever enough to head off any of that rambling, as many mentioned. So, have you any findings to share? I see. Even an expert in the field had little understanding of Meteion's capabilities, let alone an awareness of Dynamis. My questions resulted in much the same answers. Hermes' colleagues view Meteion as his personal project and could provide no details beyond those which you just told me. Which leads me to believe that the only person with any significant knowledge of Dynamis is Hermes himself. Yes, we've made some progress here, but more information is needed if we are to reach any definitive conclusions. At present, the strongest link we have to the final days is the power of Dynamis and the Entelechis which can control it. Yet most scholars are only vaguely aware of this term, let alone study them in any depth. Except for Hermes, it seems. Thus I am inclined to stay our current course and learn all we can about the Chief Overseer and his familiar. And on that subject, was there aught else of note you can tell me about Meteion, aside from her unorthodox method of communication? Well, she has some sisters, you know, who are currently roaming space in search for other life forms? Yeah. That. You know, that small little detail. I rather wish you had mentioned that earlier. In any event, would you care to elaborate? So these siblings of hers now travel the great expanse in search of deeper meaning. Thank you. Though the mystery at hand remains unresolved, I feel you have touched upon a vital clue, one we could keep in mind as we continue. Next, I propose we take ourselves to Peripetia Crystalline, not far from here. Just follow the path to the west. Okay. That moment when you have your finger just one key to the left of your keyboard. This tower and the one further along are both part of Peripetia Crystalline, the facility where they archive all of Elpis's observational and testing records. Despite how they appear from the outside, the interior is actually a vast area of magically interconnected spaces, which, while fascinating, is not the reason why we are here, is it? Shall I cut my architectural lesson short and see what those two archivists have to share? If you could find someone to speak with over at the other tower, I shall join you there anon. Now, how odd that I should suggest this approach without a second thought. You've come from a time and place that is dramatically different, yet here we are working side by side, or apart as the situation demands, with barely a word of explanation required. No matter the centuries which separate us, we are of the same star, we share a connection, and I hope that together we might find the answers you seek. Yeah. Also, those are totally TARDISes. They are bigger on the inside. Can I go in there, by the way? No, of course not. You have a question for me? Certainly. Just a moment while I conclude my current appointment. Indeed. So if you could provide a comprehensive log of those behaviors, we should then have sufficient data for official records. Now, what was it you wished to speak with me about? The Chief Overseer's personal research project. And by that I assume you mean Matteon? Such undocumented studies are difficult to track. After all, hardly a day goes past without seeing as the researcher frailed by one creation or another. I'm afraid I cannot tell you exactly when Matteon appeared, only that she now spends much of her time at Chief Hermes' side. Although, I do recall an interesting tale my dearest Galeen shared with me. Galeen is my partner and a fellow researcher here in Elpis. She was returning late one night when she caught sight of Chief Hermes sending Matteon heavensward. A host of them. For several days she would speak of that scene with wonder, describing it as one of the most beautiful spectacles she had ever witnessed. That sounds like a story I should like to hear. Mrs. Renard, I thought you had already returned to the surface. Permit me to thank you again for your invaluable contribution to our concept placement proposal. Pray do not mention it. As you say, my original plan was to leave after that task, but I have since become engrossed with Chief Hermes' research. Would you favor me with retelling of the side which so delighted your Galeen? Of course, or you could hear it from her lips directly, if you prefer. At present, she should be observing a subject in Metabosius Thalassai. She does enjoy her time there, watching the sea creatures hunt and play, gazing upon the salty waters of the world's ocean recreated in such sublime detail. I imagine you must find similar joy in indulging your boundless curiosity, Mistress Vanna. Even though such pursuits must continue and regrettably delay your return to the star. Indeed they do. This is a test well-deserved and long overdue. Tis a rest well-deserved and long overdue, I should think. How greatly have we prospered for the wisdom you accumulated during your travels as a Zeme. And what would Elpis be without your earlier academic work? The theories you developed served as the basis of many techniques still in use today. Man is a creature of contemplation, but none embody that nature with as much enduring passion as you. I dare say there is not a soul alive more worthy of a return. I shall rejoice the day you will depart on your final journey. I will be honored. Well, shall we take this opportunity to meet with Galeen in person? Then allow me to reconfigure the door to the archives here. It will take you up to the Skyway and spare you the need to avoid hostile concepts on the ground. That would be most helpful, thank you. I'll take that. I like shortcuts. The other archivists said naught we hadn't already heard, but this story of Galeen's sounds promising. I have opened a path to the Skyway. Once you pass through the door, simply walk straight across to the next tower and ask for admittance to the upper tier. Upon arriving at the upper tier, walk straight across the Skyway and you will find yourself at the entrance to Metabosius Thalasai. Galeen will be eager to share her tale with you, I am sure. Okay. Ooh. Can I just say how ridiculously beautiful all of this is? Approachable archivist. This game. The tower head is still part of Peripateia Crystalline. We'll need to ask for passage through to the upper tier. Okay. Mr. Svena, just passing through? Then allow me to prepare the path. If you need further assistance, there's always an observer or two out on the upper Skyway. Oh my god. How is this... Does this game look so good? And how is it that it looks like daytime over here and then you just move slowly over into, like, nighttime? This is... Ugh! Umbral Wind. I love this game so much. Just amazing. That door leads into the Telasai, but perhaps we can trouble this person for assistance with finding Galeen. Mr. Svena, I was not told to expect. We would have prepared an official welcome. Please, there's no need for fanfare. I only wish to speak with Galeen, if that might be arranged. Yes, Galeen, of course. I will inform her immediately. But she may be engaged in a testing phase. Could be in for something of a wait. Should I let her know of your business? Should I let her know your business is urgent? That won't be necessary. This lovely view will keep us occupied until she is ready to receive us. Can they stop with this song, please? I know why they're doing it, but still.
A delightful breeze and a breathtaking view. What is it like in the future? Is the world still a beautiful place?
Yes. As beautiful as ever. A different beauty, but beautiful nonetheless.
I swear I could hear the glimmer in your eyes and the adoration in your voice. While we wait, will you not tell me about your adventures?
Of course she
Not
would
the
ask.
portentous events which led you here, but the simple delights all your own. By learning about the future world, I may gain insight into future me's plans. But more than that, I have an interest simply as a fellow traveler. Short of going somewhere oneself, there's naught more stirring than hearing another's account.
So many stories to tell.
Incredible. Would that I could have been there to see it.
Well, you technically will be there to see it, somewhat.
Yours is a harsh and unforgiving world. Yet in spite of this, your brethren hold fast to their virtue. To know that the light of mankind's potential still shines, even in that faraway place, it gives me heart. Thank you for regaling me with your tales. I will treasure every word.
See that you do.
As you know, I was once a scholar. And among other things, I sought to understand the workings of the world. What exactly is ether? How formed the laws of nature? Whence sprung mankind? Riddles and mysteries beyond counting. Over the years, I have managed to find answers to some few of them. Yet rather than attain a sense of mastery, the more I understood, the more I came to hold the world and its miracles in awe. We too are miracles, each and every one of us, born of the warm breath of life that traverses the heavens, swirling through eternity. When I fully grasped the improbability of our existence, nothing felt impossible anymore. If it could be imagined, it could be done. A passion swelled within me, an epiphany dispelling all preconceptions of what was natural and true. And a presence without, immense yet intimate, fate perhaps, holding us in its tender embrace.
A presence, you say?
As reassuring as it was intimidating. How keenly aware I became of creation's fragility, built as it is upon precarious happenstance. I was overcome with an irrepressible urge to know the world more intimately, to hear its voice, feel its breath. I ventured forth on a journey that very day, so very long ago now. Freed from presumption and prejudice, I saw the world through a newborn's eyes. Everything fresh and new, and so beautiful. Lands that stretched on forever. Skies one could drown in. The heartbeat of nature, silent yet strong. and amidst it all a people. Beacons of light and life. Laughter that warmed my heart like naught else before. They are my meaning, and my purpose, my love. And so long as they need help, I cannot return to the star. Perhaps my future self is still waiting for it. A moment she can let go and walk unto the end. Safe in the knowledge that man will find his own way. You, who are our future, tell me this, and tell me true. Has your journey been good? Has it been worthwhile?
Yes.
Pray forgive my lateness. My
Interrupted.
observation subject was rather irritable, and it took a while to settle it down.
No need to apologize. Your work takes precedence. Besides, we had a pleasant conversation in the meantime.
You're too kind. Now then, I'm told you wished to ask me some questions.
Yes.
Indeed. I've an interest in one of Hermes' creations. Meteon. You witnessed a host of them take flight, yes?
Oh, that! Yes, I did. It was in the dark of the morn. I'd left the Thalassai after nocturnal observation. As I walked along, I spied a bright light climbing high into the southeastern skies. Then, in an instant, it was gone. Like a shooting star, only rising rather than falling. But then another shot up. Then another, and another. Intrigued, I made my way to the edge to investigate.
A reverse star shower, you say?
And who should I spy on an isle to the south but Hermes and Meteon, the Metea, rather. There were lots of them, and I realized they must be the shooting stars that I'd seen.
How many are we talking here?
Dazzling spectacle indeed. Have you spoken with Hermes about this?
Oh, yes. The sight left such an impression on me that I approached him about his mystery project the very next day. Alas, he said that he couldn't reveal anything just yet, that he needed to conduct further tests.
How long ago was that?
It shouldn't be long now, though.
Oh?
He often returns to that isle, and I have a feeling he's nearing a breakthrough.
Oh.
Splendid. We are likewise eager for the details. Well, that is all we wish to ask. Thank you for taking the time to indulge our curiosity.
You're very welcome. It's always a pleasure to speak with other inquisitive souls. Oh, and will you be descending now? If so, I shall link the doors for you.
Please.
Ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum-bum. God, the soundtrack is so good. So, another place of puzzle falls into... a piece of the puzzle falls into place. From what we have learned thus far, I think we can safely conclude that Hermes hasn't been revealing the details of his research to others. Which suggests that either someone will appropriate His discoveries, and make use of them, will Hermes himself will have a hand in causing the final days. Since we had no reason yet to suspect the former, we should consider the latter the more likely possibility. Proceeding under that assumption, our next step should be to divine why, or even if, he might desire such a terrible fate for our star.